Hey, welcome back. Let's get into the use of force here a little bit. So, you know, there are two types of use of force. There's deadly physical force and physical force. For deadly physical force, what is the catalyst for it? It's what any reasonable person would believe is serious bodily injury to death. You could use deadly physical force, which would be hands, brick, a gun, whatever. Deadly, anything that would create a deadly physical force. So, being able to use it, it's what a reasonable person believes is serious bodily injury to death. Period. You got serious bodily injury to death. Everything in between. Start right here, not when you get down here. You waited too long. So, staying in condition yellow, you should be able to keep it to the lighter end versus the heavier end, the death. So, it should be a balance between the need to get away and take care of the situation. If you can avoid deadly physical force or physical force, it's the best fight you're ever going to win. So please, when you're looking at this stuff, try to avoid any fight you can. If you can get out of there and go somewhere else, get away from it, is the best thing you can do. It'll be much cheaper. It'll be much less mentally demanding and even physically demanding if you can avoid that gunfight or that fight whatsoever. So please try to forgo them. If you have to get into them, take care of them. There's a lot of acronyms out there we're not going to use, but take care of it. So, for deadly physical force to be there, you have to have ability, jeopardy, and opportunity. Ability. That just means the guy has, or the bad person, has to have the ability to carry out what he's going to do. Jeopardy. He's putting you in jeopardy some way, shape, or form. And again, the book I send you will have a lot of detail on this. And they have to have the opportunity. So any person has the ability to use deadly physical force or physical force. Placing you in jeopardy is maybe their actions or their words. Comes walking up to you, telling you to fuck off and has this in his hand. The ability, the jeopardy, and the opportunity are there. The opportunity is an interesting one. If you have a steel door in your front of your house, your front door, those steel doors a lot of people have, and the guy's outside with a knife in his hand, the ability there, the jeopardy there, but is the opportunity there? No. If it's locked and closed, that knife's not going to go through that steel door. So the opportunity is not there. So not all three parts of it are there. So that's something you need to be considerate of. Ability, jeopardy, and opportunity have to be there for you to use deadly physical force. So keep things going, the scenarios in your head. Look at the news. Look at some of the incidents there. What would I do? Don't look at them as they fucked up and this is what they did wrong. No. Look at it. What would I do? Play it in your head. An ATM robbery. What would you do? First of all, me, at night, not going to go. That's where a lot of them do happen. At night. Don't go. It's not worth it. Wait till later. Wait till daylight. Or go to a place that's well lit. I live in Buckeye. The Chase downtown, off downtown Buckeye. Very poorly lit and not in a great area. Not going to use that one. I might go to the one up by Interstate 10 because it's a lot more lit, a lot more people, a lot more going on versus the other one. So again, it goes back to putting yourself in a bad situation. I'm going to avoid that one. Daytime, I don't care. It's just fine. Nighttime, nah, not so. Kind of like going to the stores down there. Nighttime, little weirdos come out. I don't go. Daytime, I don't have a problem. Nighttime, I kind of stay away. Just because that's the way it is. So, let me look at my notes here real quick. The 3 lines of self-defense: escape, physical force, deadly force. In that order. Can you leave it? May or may not, depending on the situation. Every situation is different, depending on the person and that kind of stuff there. Physical force. Can I use physical force on him? If he's got a 2x4 in his hand that's 4 foot long, physical force probably isn't the best idea. Deadly force, if I get hit with that 2x4, it can break a bone, serious bodily injury, hit me in the head injury, serious bodily injury to death. So think about it. Look at those 3 lines: escape, physical force, deadly force. Figure out which way it's going to go. Turn my notes around here for a darn minute. This is something that a lot of people get confused on. I heard over the past couple of years. I bought a gun, now I have a right to use, or I am obligated to use deadly force. No, you're not. You are not obligated to use deadly force in the name of yourself or anybody else whatsoever. You have a right to use deadly force. You're not obligated. It's up to you. You may not be, I don't want to use the word intelligent, but you may not be smart enough. You don't have the training. You don't have the thought process to use it. So you wouldn't. Somebody that's been training for it or had that thought process through their head might be a little more apt to use it. So that's where it's going to come from. You have a right to use it. It's not a duty to use it here in Arizona. This is an important one. In Arizona, you have no duty to retreat before using physical force or deadly physical force. Absolutely zero duty to retreat. So if you're walking down the road and you have a legal right to be there, your house, wherever, the store, the parking lot, you have a legal right to be there. You do not have to retreat. I will tell you this, if you can retreat, it would probably be beneficial to you, or would be beneficial to you, to actually retreat. If you do not retreat, think about the implications that you can run into. One, now you got lawyers involved, you have the media involved, you have a whole bunch of stressors that you probably didn't need. Sometimes you can't avoid them, sometimes you can. I've avoided many. You can see it coming, you see the writing on the wall, go a different direction, problem solved. That is the best gunfight or incident you'll ever win. So please try to escape. It's much cheaper to avoid the situation than it is to get into it. It's not a Billy Badass thing to go, I've gotten in 42 gunfights. You have a problem. If you can tell me you got away with 30 gunfights, I want to learn what you're doing. That's the person I want to learn from, is the ones that avoided them, not so much as the ones that's got into it. You want to learn from both, but the other one, I really want to learn because I want to know what they're doing to avoid it. Okay, disparity of force. Here is an interesting thing we're going to take a couple minutes on. Disparity of force. If it's a female against me, can I use physical force or deadly physical force? It depends on the circumstances. If I know for a fact it's an MMA fighter or jiu-jitsu, something of that nature, maybe I can. I know I can't handle myself against somebody like that. Yes, I could, and I need to articulate that. If it's a standard female or some guy that's half my weight, I'm 255 pounds, and they're 100 pounds, and they're 4'9", I may have to look for different ways. Vice versa. I have my daughter with me. She's not, but if she's 10 years old, can I use force on somebody? Yes, because I may. Because I'm going to relay it back to her. If something happens to me, what's going to happen to her? Or my wife. She has medical issues. If something happens to me, what can happen to them? There's a whole bunch of scenarios that you can do that disparity of force. You need to look at you versus the opponent. If it's a guy that's your same size, do what you need to do, depending on the circumstances. But disparity of force is the opponent's ability to take you. If it's a 5'2" female, 80 pounds, you probably just hold them back. You don't need to go over there and shoot them or beat the hell out of them. Depending, again, if they have a gun, you need to do what you need to do, but it goes back to serious bodily injury to death. So if they're unarmed, here's any Other thing, I've been asked 100 times, can I shoot unarmed people? That answer could be a yes, and it could be a no. Maybe yes, maybe no. If it's 3 unarmed people coming at me, 3 dudes coming at me, I can do 1, maybe 2. I can do 1. We'll go with maybe 2. Third one, I'm over. So could I use deadly physical force on multiple people? Absolutely. Again, I need to articulate why I did that to a T. A, B, C, D, E, everything's got to be in there. The who, what, when, where, why, and how. Got to be in there. So when you get back into unarmed people, if it's 2 unarmed females, maybe not. I might have to fight my way through it. Maybe shooting them, no. If it's 3, 4, a crowd, maybe I have to. Because what can happen with more than 2 or 3 people? Multiple people would be 2 or more, not 5, not 10. But if you can avoid it, again, try to avoid it. Defense of a third person. This is where it comes out of you and your family. I'm not going to count the third person of you, your wife, your kids, whatever. I'm not going to count that. Third person would be somebody you don't know. Let's go with that route. So you're out and about, you're at a store, and you see this guy beating on a female. Choose wisely, because I'm going to give you an incident that I actually ran into with somebody. I knew of a guy. I've lost contact with him over the last probably 15 years. He stepped up, I think it was Tempe. He stepped up to a male beating on a female. He went over there to stop it. Guy pulled out a Bowie knife, cut him right up the gut. Turned out to be a bad day. He actually regretted what he did. Instead of calling the cops, let them handle it. You need to think about that. Plus, if you go over there and you do subdue the he or the she or whoever was doing the beating, that other person that was getting beat might turn on you because now you're attacking their other half, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, friend, whatever. You need to really think these through. I'm going to tell it to you my way. If you do see something like that, be a good witness, call the police, let them do their damn job. That's what they're paid for. That's what they're equipped for. That's what they're trained for. Let them do it. I'm sorry. It's not going to be a popular decision, but it keeps me out of harm's way and it's less cost to me. I'd just rather be a good witness and go that route. So there you go under third person. You need to, again, it has to be serious bodily injury to death and what a reasonable person believes. I've been asked 100 times, what is a reasonable person? Well, if you find out, please let me know, because I don't know. Every reasonable person is different. That reasonable person is built on your profile. They're going to look at me, they're going to look at my training, they're going to look at my background. That's the reasonable person they're going to build. So is it fair? I fully believe this, why there is no definition of a reasonable person anywhere. Because my training versus you watching this, if you don't do the same thing I do, or as long as I do, have done, I should say, you may have a different reasonable person. Where mine might be here, yours could be here. So it's not fair to hold you to the same reasonable person I am versus you down here. And it's not fair to me to hold myself down here when I actually have up here. So there's multiple ways you can go with this. What a reasonable person believes going by your profile. Not taking me down, but they're not going to make me jump up. There's SWAT team guys that have a lot more training than I do. They're going to be held to a different standard than I am. And I'm going to be held to a different standard than the average citizen. But go out there and get your training, get schooled, and you'll be just fine. Defense of property. This is interesting. We are not Texas, because I see a lot of Texas transplants here. They can shoot over property. We can't. Because if you shoot over your dog or your cat or your animal, and you tell them you killed that guy over kicking your dog or beating your dog or whatever, the dog is technically property in this state, you're going to have problems. You're probably going to get arrested, and you're going to, and a very expensive lawyer, probably $500 to $1,000, if not more, per hour to help you out. And all it's going to do is mitigate the sentence you get. It's not going to get you out of jail, especially in today's climate. So when it comes down to defense of property, your house, I'm not shooting you because you're coming in my house. I would shoot you because you came into my house, my wife and daughter are upstairs, and I got to protect them. That's what it boils down to. What a reasonable person believes, serious bodily injury to death. There's nothing about property. Leave it the hell out of there. A garage, if I'm in there and they're coming in, that could be different because I want to relay it to the people in the house. Not that they came in my house, not that they came into my garage. It's going to be to who I'm protecting in the house. And under Arizona law, the Castle Doctrine and stand your ground state. Castle Doctrine's here, stand your ground's here. So stand your ground encompasses Castle Doctrine. Castle Doctrine is just whatever you use for lawful lodging is your safest domain in the world. This house is my safest domain, so I have Castle Doctrine. But under Arizona, we have stand your ground jurisdiction, not Castle Doctrine, just jurisdiction. Stand your ground, Castle Doctrine just fits into it. Stand your ground jurisdiction just means any place that I have the legal right to put my 2 feet. I have stand your ground jurisdiction. I have no duty to retreat whatsoever. So keep that in mind. We are a stand your ground jurisdiction, not Castle Doctrine like a lot of people think, because that's what they hear a lot of. All right. Defensive display of a firearm. This is something that came into Arizona a lot of people don't know about. A lot of your good gun people do. Your newer gun people don't know this. If I have this gun, I'm going to stand back a little bit. I'll talk a little louder. And it's right here on my side. And somebody comes up and I feel it's a threat. I have the right now to put my hand on that gun and say, you know what? You need to go that way. I'm not going to deal with you today. Go that way. I have the right to do that. It's a defensive display of a gun. It's much less the same the police do. If you were to approach them aggressively, what they can do is pull it out and point it straight at you. We have that same right with the exception of pointing. Let me go back to this. If you're coming up, making threats to me, kicking my ass, stealing my car, I now have the right. I can pull this gun out, put it right here, because you need to stop or your day is going to get worse. And if he turns around and goes the other way, point blank, fine. I can put this back up, continue with my day. I have seen that happen where a guy was working on his car, got threatened. He pulled the gun out, put it somewhere on the vehicle. The guy left. He actually called the cops. Cops showed up, and he was well within his rights. I want to say it was Avondale. And he was well within his rights. Everything went about his way. No harm, no foul. He was well within his rights. So there you go. Defensive display of a firearm. Yeah, here's where I'm going to leave the use of force, and we're going to move on. The use of force. Deadly physical force or physical force, you cannot use them in response to mere words. So if somebody's just sitting over there in the chair saying, I'm going to kick your ass, you can't get up over there and go beat the hell out of them. You can't do that. They have to have the ability, the jeopardy, and the opportunity. But if he's just sitting over there, does he have the ability? Yep. Is the jeopardy there? Yep. But he's sitting over there. Is the opportunity there? No. He's just sitting there. He didn't make any advancements. It could be somebody across the street. Doesn't mean you pull out your big old hog leg, put 2 rounds in his face, and call it good. Because he threatened to kill you from 50 yards away. He had nothing with him. See how things get kind of murky? So that's what you need to look for. So that's the use of force in a nutshell. Again, at the conclusion of all this, I will put my book or send it to you guys. You guys will have much greater detail. Look forward to you in the next segment. See you soon.